Hi, it's Bobby Hayes. Hi, it's Bobby Hayes. That's better. So yesterday I made a whole video about doing the psychosocial assessment, which I can't seem to upload. So now I'm going to try something new, which is to do this directly on YouTube. Sorry for the way I'm looking today. It's been kind of a hectic morning. Anyway, the psychosocial assessment is one of the more important things that'll ever happen for a client when you're trying to be able to find out what their needs are. It is something that's done at the very beginning of treatment. It is oftentimes the basis of treatment because it's a place where we get to find out what the client's issues are. Some of the things that, I've talked about this before and you've been reading about it, but one of the things that stands out for me is that it's also a place to be able to help a client be able to understand what their strengths are and what their barriers are to recovery. So it's one of the questions that you ask them. What are some of the things that you think will help you with sobriety, and what are some of the things about you that you think will get in the way? Those are really important questions because a lot of times people don't know what it is about them that can help make things different. And so it becomes really important as a practitioner that you help them begin to see what their strengths are in being able to do this behavior, and then also help them take a look at what kinds of things they need to be aware of. Some of the other questions that come up are suicide questions, suicide and homicide. You always, when you ask a client, have you ever felt suicidal, a lot of times they will say no, but then they'll tell you about how they sometimes wish that they didn't wake up in the morning, which is not the same thing as being suicidal. It is almost like magical thinking, like my life is so painful, I wish I didn't have to live anymore. But the reality is that is what is going on for them. So when people tell me things like that, they wish they didn't have to live anymore, I ask them specific questions about have they ever really thought about hurting themselves. Do they have a plan? What is it that's inhibited them from doing that in the past? A lot of times you'll find it's their religion, or it's their family relationships, or their fear, or someplace that they have hope that they can create change in their life. There's a variety of reasons why people a lot of times won't be harmful to themselves, and that becomes important to be able to assess. The other thing is if a client says to me, like, I really hate my husband, I wish he was dead, to go back, and most times it's a figure of speech, not the greatest figure of speech, but a figure of speech. So I may go back and say to them, like, okay, so can you tell me more about that? Like, that is something that you think about seriously, or is that just something you're saying? Because I want to be able to make sure that the person is able to be safe from causing harm to others. I think I told you the story, but when I very first started in the field, I told a client that anything he told me was confidential, and then he told me that there was a sexual abuse relationship with his daughter, and I had to go back and say, okay, well, not so much that. So beforehand, I tell people that there's things that like, let me just talk about what kinds of things I have to report and what kinds of things I don't report. If somebody tells me that they were sexually traumatized by their father as a child, and the father is still alive, and he has access to children, I have to report that. If somebody tells me that they were sexually abused by their grandfather, and he's now 98 years old, and living in a facility, I'm probably not going to report that. But there is no, typically you have to take a look at, if somebody reports childhood sexual abuse and they're an adult, does that person have access to children now? And if they do, then you need to report it because you have to be concerned about children that they have contact with. And then I always let clients know that that's what I'm going to have to do, and that it's confidential. It doesn't have to say where it came from. I don't even give the client's name. I don't have to report the client's name. I just have to call and say that this was a report that was made to me, this is the information that was made available to me, and that's it. Let's see what else becomes important. Culture becomes important, asking questions about their culture. Some cultures are ones that would be really, like I used to work in Utah. I used to live in Utah, and the Mormon faith is really against drugs and alcohol use, but for people who use, they have a very high rate of addiction. Why is that? Because there's a lot of guilt and shame about the behavior. And so you want to take a look at culturally, what are some of the things that may reinforce recovery and may reinforce using. So I'm Irish Catholic, and Father Martin says wherever you find four Irish Catholics, you always find a fifth. Get it? Anyway, because it's really common in our population to be able to, in the Irish Catholic population, to have a problem with alcohol. American Indians a lot of times have a very high rate of addiction. They're a collectivistic culture, so they're going to go back home once they finish treatment, and so how are you going to help them be able to do that safely? There's a lot of things that go on this, but again, this along with any kind of medical information you get from the psychiatrist, a doctor, lab work, all gets integrated into something called diagnostic summary, and I'll send you a copy of that, and then that also becomes the basis of treatment planning. You can have a treatment plan that a client may not necessarily support. So I may think that a client needs to take a look at their relationship with their spouse because there are concerns that the relationship may be toxic for sobriety. The person may say, I don't want to look at that. That's not, I don't want to look at that. I can still make that a treatment plan even if the client refuses to sign it. And then I just need to be careful about the way I go about it so that I don't alienate the client. I have a lot more I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try and see how this one works. I'm sorry my other one didn't work out because it was a lot better. But anyway, I'm going to try posting this one. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.